Well, hello and welcome to the Shallow Proclamation. My name's Paul, and I'm joined by my partner in crime.
Donna Noble. Thomas Thoroughly.
And we're about to watch the final part of the Silurians. I'm quite up for this. Sorry, I should say Doctor Who and the Silurians?
Doctor Whom and the Silurians.
Whom? I'm quite excited for this. It's been a week since we watched the last, what was it, 4, 5, and 6 we watched last time. So I'm quite up for this now. Oh, yes, this was a good little cliffhanger, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, this
now,
was a good cliffhanger.
I think this instrument, Thomas, people have been saying in the comments, is called a crumb horn.
Victor Crumb Horn.
Victor Crumb Horn. Victor Crumb Horn Tail. No, that's the other way. Hungarian Crumb Horn Tail. No. Now, a lot of people have been helpful in the comments and saying that the issues with the colour in this story are to do with the way it was recolorized. Because I think we only had black and white recordings of it, and then they've taken some other ones and overlaid them. I don't know how it all works. There's a number of different processes depending, because there are PAL versions and NTSC versions and stuff, and they've had to kind of work with them to make them work in some way to get the colour in it. Excuse me, get the colour into it. Hence why you get that bit of bleed and stuff.
Right, but it was shot in colour, wasn't it? So
yes,
it's not recolored in the way that some of the Hartnell episodes have been.
No,
but it's been a bit of a kind of.
It was sort of colour was lost, and they've restored what was lost.
I see. Yeah.
I think it's in the Pertwee era. Like there were some stories that when I was younger, they only existed in black and white, and now they've been colorized, restored to color, I should say. Whereas after Pertwee's era, everything is as it should be. But so there were no missing episodes in the Pertwee era, but there were kind of only sort of black and white copies of a few stories and stuff like that. So, but more have been discovered over the years, and restoration teams have done work. So now, does anyone actually know all the colours on his little badge there? Presumably, they all mean something. Like there must be a rhyme and reason to the kind of coloration there.
Isn't it like the things where, when you, like at the back of a magazine when it's printed, it does all those coloured squares to make sure all the colours have come out. It's like that, but on him.
It's just deciding what paint he wants for the wall.
It's a Dulux colour chart.
Now, speaking of voices, I said in one of the previous stories, voices all done by Peter Halliday, so I think they're all one person. But Peter Halliday played Packer in The Invasion. No. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, brilliant.
So he's still alive.
How can I help you, Mr. Vaughan?
He's survived on through these monsters.
Yeah.
Now here's a question for you, Paul.
Yep.
Do you think the Silurians are good guys or bad guys, or a mixture?
Well, Thomas, we're all shades of grey. It's a good question, isn't it? Because technically, we're sort of the invaders in this story, aren't we? Because they were here first.
But what someone was saying in the comments, they did choose to kind of retreat. And then arguably, like, the humans who are living above ground now had no idea. And the Silurians are kind of coming up and being like, hey, this is our land. So I don't know, it's complicated, isn't it?
Well, the world is not split up into good people and Death Eaters, Thomas. There's light and dark in each of us.
The line between good and evil runs through every human heart. And every Silurian heart.
I love the head thing.
What was he doing?
Just listening to that Silurian a moment ago walking away, you can hear the kind of sound of the the prosthetic of the suit kind of touching the set and squidging against it and stuff. I think that's one of the things that Doctor Who really struggles with in the classic era. It's those kind of sounds that kind of take you out of it a little bit. I guess because in the modern era, I mean, you can tell me, you probably know better than me, Thomas, not just in Doctor Who, but in lots of things. Is there very little sound actually recorded on set? A lot of it is put in afterwards.
That's a good question.
Because there's a lot of even overdubbing with of script as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I think they always try and get dialogue on set as high quality as possible, because that's the hardest thing to add in.
Yeah.
But they do still do some ADR, like if a plane flies over, or they'll get the actors to re-record the lines in the studio. But yeah, they do all sorts of things. Like I think they put like felt on the bottom of their shoes or something, so that their footsteps don't make any sound on set. Yeah. And then they add that in later on. They try and strip out as much of the sound effects on set so that they can then have complete control over them in post. I think that's how it's done. Most of what you'll hear in the modern era was probably recorded in a studio. Certainly the sounds of the monsters. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
I guess it doesn't matter if you've got a slightly noisy costume if you're going to mostly mute the sound that you've recorded on stage and just put over other sounds. So
yeah.
Looks like he's just going to pull it down. Like, turn the alarm off. No, he is. Yeah. Just 10 more minutes.
Yeah. Is that a sunbed?
Working on his tan.
Doctor looks quite cool in a t-shirt, doesn't he?
I was going to say, it's not something we've really seen before, is it? This is a bit like Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, I haven't seen the series. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, haven't you better close down the reactor? I can't. You were surely buffing them. Well, I exaggerated a bit. But I had to push the reactor past the critical stage, or they'd never have believed me. You better get out of here at once.
We can't.
Why not?
They've jammed the lift. There's no way out.
Oh.
I mean, surely there must be some stairs, right?
Yeah.
In the event of fire, do not use the lift. In the event of nuclear meltdown.
I'll try fusing the control of the neutron flow. Now stand well back and cover your eyes.
Neutron flow.
I know I've said it before, but I am a fan of this set. It's got a real sort of, like I say, it looks mouldy and damp and stuff, doesn't it?
You believe it's underground.
Ah, I see that. You see the lines on the screen there
Oh yeah.
when he fired the gun. I think that's like old videotape was affected by the volume of the gunfire.
Oh.
That's why you get those lines across the screen. I wonder whether we'd see that in any stories or whether it had been sort of edited out in restoration. But
That's really interesting. So it's like the sound bleeding into the visual.
yeah, something like that.
What's that?
The Brigadier. He's blown up a Silurian base.
He must have had orders from the Ministry.
What, you knew?
No. The government were frightened. They just couldn't take the risk.
But that's murder. They were intelligent alien beings.
Oh gosh,
A
yeah.
whole race of them. He's just wiped them out.
Wow. Quite a somber ending there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think that's my favourite thing of the episode, actually, that ending there. I like how, because the Brigadier is kind of a character that you're built up to like, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's part of this sort of ensemble cast now, along with the Doctor and Liz.
Yeah.
And so to have that kind of ending there, where he's at odds with the Doctor, and the Doctor's kind of miffed or perturbed by the fact they just killed the Silurians, and it's that thing, isn't it? Who are the real monsters?
Wow.
There you go. That's the thing.
Wow.
It's a classic.
Cool.
It's a classic trope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Particularly in this story where you've got the creatures who. I mean, I'm surprised actually that the Doctor said it so many times. He keeps saying that was a intelligent alien life form. You're like, no, they're not aliens. They're from Earth. But yet they were willing to sort of wipe them out at the end.
The word alien kind of means, doesn't it?
Yes, I suppose so.
But yeah,
blooming foreigner coming over here, demanding to know what love is.
Yeah, no, good stuff. A good story, I'd say, overall.
Yeah, and I would say that it doesn't feel like a 7-parter.
No, it's kind of whizzed by, hasn't it?
Whizzed. Doctor Whom. And the Silurians just whizzed by. But I think it's interesting, isn't it? The old, like, classic Who is a much longer format than modern Who.
Yeah.
Obviously, most episodes, in today's day and age, are sort of those 45-minute slots. So even when you've got a 4-parter story in the classic era, you're kind of longer, unless you get a 2-part story in the modern era. But most of the time, it's longer format, even with a 4-parter. But a 7-parter really gives you scope, doesn't it, to build characters and build the world and to do lots of different things. Because I think every time I come to something of this length, even a 6-parter, often I'm thinking to myself, is there going to be enough material to maintain interest, or is this going to feel like a slog? And it didn't feel like that to me at all. And I think we touched on a few things through the story, just the interesting themes about who has the right to the planet, and the way that you can apply that into real life situations. But I think this story, as we said, does it well without kind of throwing it down your throat, or throwing it in your face, I should say, shoving it down your throat. And even the ending there, like you know that the Doctor you're supposed to be on the Doctor's side, I suppose, at the end. But yeah, I suppose you could equally watch that ending and you could come away and you could probably make a good case for what the Brigadier did.
Wow.
Although it doesn't tell you outright what you're supposed to think, I suppose.
Defending
even though it's suggested. But,
yeah.
So I like that slightly more open-ended approach to it.
It reminds me a bit of how the Christmas Invasion ends with them blowing up this. What's the species called? The Sycorax.
Rex, yes, Sycorax.
Yeah, so the Doctor kind of sends them off, and then Harriet Jones fires a laser at it and blows it up. And he's like, "Why did you do that?" And she's like, "We've got to kind of make a warning and show the galaxy that Earth is formidable, and it's kind of like kind of the nuclear deterrent sort of thing. We need to show that we're not vulnerable to alien invasion, that we'll fight back, kind of thing." So it's a really complex argument, isn't it? And the Doctor always is on the side of protecting life, and so yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's good.
Big questions.
Yeah, and it's always good to have, whether it's Doctor Who or anything, it's always good that when there are these kind of themes in it that allow you to, or get you thinking, or generate a bit of discussion about those topics. So I think it works well like that. I mean, and it's like I say, it continues that streak we saw in Spearhead from Space of this just very fresh feel to the series. You know, as you said, you know, oh, you don't see the Doctor in a t-shirt very often, and then there he is underneath the thing, underneath the console or what it was. You know, it's doing his mechanic work. It's so different, isn't it? Just in look and tone and feel at the moment. But it's good. I like it. It's a good feel.
Oh, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Take care.